Hello and welcome to Hello Governor, the podcast. As always, I am Abdullah, and with me today is Mallory Low. How you doing, Mallory?
I'm great. I'm doing really good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Last episode of 2025. Let's end it on. Let's try to end it on a positive note.
Oh, it is. You know what? And now I just feel that much more honored. Thank you so much. We're gonna end it with a bang. We will. It's gonna be a great celebration.
So, first question is the obvious one. How did you get started and what made you want to get into VO?
Yeah. I started with on-camera acting. I was a Nickelodeon kid actually. I was on a Nickelodeon show called Just for Kicks. Just for Kicks. I could speak, I promise. Just for Kicks. It was executive produced by Whoopi Goldberg. And here's the real origin story. Picture this. I was a 7-year-old girl. My mom was a single mother. She worked 3 jobs to support me. And one of the jobs was working for an agency. And the agency at that time was like a 2, 3 woman office. And so she would bring me to work and I would be running around, playing with the toys in the waiting room, eating all the candy and, being a little kid. Finally, the head agent says, is this your daughter? My mom's like, yeah, sorry for her eating all your airheads. And she said, no, I want to interview her. Come into my office. So the agent had me sit in her office and interviewed me, and I ended up singing my ABCs to her. Why? I don't know, because I thought that was a cool thing at the time that I know my ABCs, I guess. And she signed me on the spot. And the cool thing about this is I'm actually still signed with her to this day. She is a part of my family, and now she is a huge agency, and I am so proud of all the work and everything that she's done. My mom doesn't work there anymore, but I'm still with them to this day. So that's how it kind of started. Got me into the entertainment biz. And like I said, I started with on camera, commercials, national commercials, Nickelodeon Kid. I did a few episodes of Lincoln Heights. I don't know if you remember that show back in the day. Then some How to Get Away with Murder. And then about 10, maybe 10, 12, we'll say 10, 12 years ago, I got heavily into voiceover. And yeah, I, and to this day now you could hear me on, The Bad Guys Breaking In, Final Fantasy Remake as Madame M, and the rest is history.
So, it was basically like something you always wanted to do, and voiceover was something you stumbled across later on in your career. It wasn't something you specifically wanted to pursue, but it was just something like, hey, I can this seems fun. Let me see what I can do with this.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't really uh when I stumbled across VO, I took a class, a wonderful class with this teacher, Sue Boyajian, who is still one of my private coaches to this day. She's also a phenomenal voice actress, by the way. She does a lot of Nickelodeon, Disney, all that kind of stuff. I took this class, and what I realized is how freeing voiceover is. That you could just be be anything without people judging what you look like. I could go in my booth right now and do my work in my pajamas if I wanted to. And I felt so freeing in my work and more creative and just there was so much more freedom. And that's how I realized like I really love VO and doing this. So yeah, I kind of stumbled and it kind of stuck. I love it.
And speaking of like loving something, what do you love and hate about what you do?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say obviously what I love is just being creative, the creative freedom. I really love just storytelling, being able to use my voice to and my past experiences to tell all these amazing different stories and hopefully be able to impact or hopefully, have it resonate with an audience and help make them feel things and have it be cathartic for them. And so that's what I love. What I let's see, what I like the least, we'll say, is probably, I mean, this industry is a bit unpredictable, right? There's a lot of things that come last minute changes, last minute auditions, which is amazing. There are opportunities that come, right? But sometimes it could, I have to exercise flexibility. Like for instance, I have a story. I When I was shooting the show called The Chair on Netflix, it's starring Sandra Oh, Jay Duplass. It was executive produced by Amanda Peet. We shot it in Pittsburgh. I had come home, wrapped the show, and I was really excited because I was going to celebrate my, I think, 12-year or 13-year anniversary with my boyfriend, and we had booked a trip to Joshua Tree at this beautiful Airbnb. And the day of, we had all our bags packed in the truck. We were ready to go. I was so excited to celebrate. All of a sudden, I get this phone call on my cell phone, and it was Amanda Peet calling me on my cell phone, my personal cell phone, by the way. And first off, having Amanda Peet call you on your cell phone is just like, what is what is life, right? And so, of course, I answered it. Thank goodness I answered it. And she said to me, uh, "Hey, Mallory, I wrote something extra for you in the show, and I was wondering if you would be willing to actually come shoot it. So fly out with me tomorrow, in and come with me in my private jet, keyword private jet, and shoot it." And of course, I'm not going to say no to Amanda Peet or a private jet. I mean, who would? And I said, absolutely. So, and fortunately, I had to take all the bags out of the truck and start packing for Pittsburgh again. But luckily, my boyfriend, unfortunately, we couldn't get our money back from the Airbnb. My boyfriend ended up going on his own, had a wonderful time. We were able to reschedule our anniversary trip. But, things like that. It's very last minute, but um, sometimes it could be unpredictably amazing and wonderful. There's all these unexpected surprises that happen. And so, yeah, it could be unpredictable sometimes.
That's crazy to me. Like, just like you're planning something and then Amanda Pete wants me to fly on a private jet to shoot something.
Can you listen? Can you imagine? Like, I just was like, first off, s- I'm not great about answering my phone. I'll just be honest with you, okay? I have a robo killer thing on my phone, so because I get all these spam calls, but I happen to pick up this phone call, and when she was telling me all this information, I was so like excited and nervous at the same time. Like my voice was shaking, and I didn't know what to say except yes, yes, yes. When, where? Tell me how, what? And it was a a moment I will never forget. Like a car picked me up, one of those like not a car. It was like one of those GMC, those cars, the bigger cars picked me up, drove me to this airport, this private airport. The automatic gate opens. There's no security. Literally, you just walk on the plane like it's, like Air Force One. You know what I mean? Like literally, you just walk into the plane. And then they take, they were like, "Oh, ma'am, let me help you with the bags." And I was like, "Oh, really? You're gonna help me with my bags?" And they just put it underneath the plane and then the jet, and you just walk in. And I clearly remember walking into that private jet, and it was obviously pristine. Everything was just like, that coated wood. It was beautiful inside. And then they had this couch and like a few chairs here. And I was so confused because I didn't know where to sit. I was like, what? Oh, do I sit in one of the chairs? Like, is there assigned seating? Because that's what I'm used to. Do I sit on the couch? And the airplane, the attendant was just like, "Oh, you can sit wherever you want." And so, to be safe, I just sat by the window and, in one of the regular seats. And then Amanda Peet rolls up with her assistant into the jet and we fly back to Pittsburgh. It was a moment, like I said, that I will never forget. I have pictures of myself. I had to document it. I had pictures of myself. Maybe by the end of this interview, I could even show it of me like posing like next to a private jet. It was crazy.
That's just such a surreal experience. Like to me, like I'm like, because I've talked to people who've worked with like famous celebrities and they get like that whole starstruck thing. But you're the first person I've ever had on this show who's like, oh yeah, I've flown on a private jet with a celebrity. Doesn't everybody?
I mean, like you would think, right? But it's just no. But the thing is like, also too, I need to add that it was during COVID times, right? So when we shot that show, so they also wanted to make sure that, you know, with the strict COVID regulations, that I wasn't on a plane with a whole bunch of people. And because they didn't want me to get COVID and contract it and pass it along to the cast and crew. So what's the other option? Private jet, right? So I guess apparently she was taking, she had to take a private jet back and forth because she was filming projects and also executive producing the show. So she just had it at her disposal at the time. And I happened to be able to benefit from it, I guess.
It's like, look, we need to get this done, and we already paid for the jet. Someone's gonna ride the jet.
Let it be Mallory Low. Wonderful. It was, yeah, like I said, I will never forget it. And it's just such a private experience, because you don't have to go through security and it's just so easy. And then you're sitting there and there's this vast amount of space. You have your own little bathroom. They even feed you on the plane, you know, eh, and I'm just like, I just feel so out of place. They're asking me if I want anything to drink. Do I want, they had like a menu of food. Like, here, look at this menu. What would you like? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll take the salad, I guess. I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is just such a real surreal experience. And I was also sitting right next to Amanda Peet, which was also a surreal experience because she's just an amazing, kind person, but she's been in so many wonderful, iconic films. And I remember growing up to watching her as an actress, and she's so inspiring. And so it was a little also nerve-wracking just sitting right next to her and talking with her.
I can imagine because it's like, one thing, you're on a private jet and you're like, if you feel out of place, I feel like anybody, celebrity or not, like if you're gonna go on a private jet, you're gonna feel out of place because it's like because you like you said, it's not like regular air travel. It's like a private jet, you know?
Yeah, and like everything, yeah, it's private. There's nobody else on the plane with you except, the flight attendant and then, the pilots and then you, Amanda Peet and an assistant. Literally three people. It's crazy. Unbelievable. I'm gonna see if I can find a photo while we continue this interview because it just, and then I'll show it on the screen because it was just an experience I will never forget, you know?
And
I'm
it's
gonna see
it's
if I could.
it's it's even funnier because it's taking place on with COVID as well, where everyone was stuck at home, and you're just like, oh yeah, everyone was stuck at home. I was like riding on a private jet with Amanda Peet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just was like that was the safest option at the time. We can't, they're like, we can't have Mallory, flying, on a regular domestic flight because she could contract COVID and, it's against, we don't want to have that risk. So yeah, we'll just take her on the private jet. Just take her with you on the private jet. Whoa, mind blown. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Oh, it's coming up. Oh, it's coming. Okay, here, I have, see, I actually have a picture. Hold on, wait. See if I could show it on the screen. There I am. There I am. I don't know if you guys could see that. It's the camera's not that great. But I was wearing a mask. See, listen, I exercised caution and safety, even though there was only like four people on the flight. But there I am, next to the door of the private jet. It did happen, people. It happened.
That's crazy. And sorry to audio only listeners, you missed out on a you missed out.
Yeah, it was a really great picture. Go on YouTube and so that you could watch the visual of this because you'll see the picture of me standing next to a beautiful jet.
And while we're on the subject of acting and what have you, what was the best and worst piece of advice you've ever been given as an actor?
Ooh. Hmm. The best and worst advice. The I'll start with the best advice. The best advice that I've ever been given is, well, most recently, something that I can think of at the top of my head is how you show up matters. That's from my wonderful shout out to my wonderful life coach, Alejandra Perez. She's all about energy and how you show up what she means by that is how you show up with excitement, showing up with an open mind, showing up with gratitude and positive energy is really important in whatever you do. So that is something that I always do. I try to show up with excitement and enthusiasm and gratitude and for what I'm about to do and to think of everything as fun. How can this be fun? And what can I learn from these experiences? So I think that is one of the best advice, showing how you show up matters. The worst advice, I would say, I guess a few years back, I was looking for some new managers, and I remember one of them saying that I should I should cut my hair a certain way, cut my hair kind of like that Asian rice bowl haircut. Because I was playing a character that had that haircut, and she said to me that I should actually cut my hair like that, that it would book me more roles. I'm really glad that I didn't listen to her because I did end up booking roles looking the way that I am. But yeah, I didn't want a haircut to kind of put me in a box. For me, I feel like being yourself and authenticity always is the best way to go. And I guess being myself works. So I guess that was the worst advice that I was given, the haircut advice.
And out of all the characters you voiced, which one would you say was the toughest?
The toughest. Okay, I'm gonna say out of all the characters that I've voiced, I will say toughest in terms for me will be like I guess research, having to research character and a lot of work involved. I would say maybe it was Webb's Miss Tarantula. In the bad guys breaking in because I had to do a lot of research. I watched the first Bad Guys movie. I then researched a lot of Aquafina's interviews. You know, she has a very specific, original, wonderful voice, and they didn't really want an actual sound alike. They wanted something that kind of felt the same as her, right? So for me, I think that was the toughest because I had to do a lot of research. And what I found, what was interesting, when I got the audition was when I was playing around in the booth, I found that when I would talk kind of in the corner of my mouth like this, kind of on the right side, uh, the vowels, I would say the vowels different, and then I kind of, I would get a little bit raspy down here, but if I talked in the corner of my mouth, it just kind of came out, you know what I mean? And then that's how Webb's happened for me. And I remember auditioning, and I sent the audition to my agent, and my agent was just like, "Wow, this is pretty good." And it was really surprising to me because I didn't know it was good. And I guess it was because I ended up booking the role. But I would say that was the toughest maybe in terms of like research and uh, finding specifics with the character.
And it's interesting you say that because, I was going to ask, like, when you booked that, did they want a
Yeah.
voice match or did they want a feel alike?
Yeah, it was more like a feel alike. And I I remember when I ended up booking booking the role, my agent called me. I was at home and she told me, that I had booked it, and I screamed, sorry for her, probably blew her ears out. But I was really excited, and I remember that DreamWorks wanted to first do a few test episodes, and just to make sure that I was really the right fit. And so I went and recorded the test episodes, and then I got a booking email within the next few days that I ended up booking it, that I was the Webs. And the cool thing about it was they actually this is a prequel to the bad guys movies. So they actually wanted her to sound a little bit younger, right? So she's a few years younger than she is in the movies. Uh which which was amazing for me because I vocally that's easy for me to go in that kind of in that range there.
And what did you record first? Did you record the holiday specials first and or the series first?
We recorded the series, so we kind of like went episode by episode. We might have gone a little out of order. I don't remember, but we did the series, and then they picked the holiday special to put out first, which is coming. Which please check out the holiday special on Netflix. The Bad Guys, a Very Bad Holiday. It's playing on Netflix. It's a great thing to watch for this season, for this holiday season. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And then we did the Halloween special as well, the spooky episode.
Yeah, because I was curious about that because they released the specials first, and I was kind of like, "Huh, these seem less like specials and more like episodes of a TV series. Are they gonna
Mhm.
do a TV series?" And it's one of those things where who knows? And then it's like, "Oh, okay, they're gonna do a TV series."
Yeah, there you go. See, like I said again, unpredictability. We never know what's going to happen, but it was a pleasant surprise. Yeah, I know that. And then the series came out. Thank goodness.
Also, I just want to say, like, please go watch the holiday special because Ezekiel is great as Mr. Shark, and he's hilarious in that. And I interviewed him a couple years ago, and he's just like such a
Yeah.
talented guy and very underrated. Hope he gets more work. He needs more work. He's very talented.
Yes, yes. And Raul plays Piranha. You got Chris playing Snake and Michael playing Wolf. It's really well written, the holiday special and the episodes in the series. Please give it a watch. I think all ages will enjoy it.
And speaking of, while we're on the subject of webs and you having
Mhm.
to, you said like you had to do like this whole like vocal thing with her, and I'm kind of wondering now, how do you avoid vocal damage when you're doing a character like that?
That's a really great question. Well, I think for number one, you have to listen to your body. You have to listen to yourself and how you feel. Uh, it's back in 2022, I had some vocal trouble actually. I had vocal surgery, and I actually had a polyp. Years ago, I was singing in a bunch of cover bands. I was also doing voiceover. I was just using my voice heavily without giving it proper rest. And I remember this was actually during the time I was auditioning for Webs too, as well. So I was going through this vocal trouble, and I found a wonderful surgeon. And she said to me, "Here are your options. Number one, you could go through rehab, which is the more conservative route. It may or may not go away. We don't know. It may, and it may take a couple months. Or two, we could go through surgery. I'll laser it off for you, and then you'll have about 2 weeks of vocal rest, and then some vocal rehab sessions, and then go right back into it. And man, I'll tell you, that was one of the scariest moments of my life when I was going through that. To be vulnerable, it was, I felt like it was going to be the end of my career because, I mean, you never know. You hear a lot of stories about, people undergoing surgery and then they come out not sounding like they did, or they can't sing like they used to, or, things change. And it was so, so, so scary for me. I remember I was crying a lot and I couldn't figure out what to do. I was asking a whole bunch of people what I should do. And then finally, I ended up deciding to get the surgery. I had faith in the unknown. I had faith in God that things were going to be okay. And I remember my boyfriend saying at the time, he said to me, Mel, so, uh, okay, listen, okay, what if you do go through this surgery and like, your voice isn't the same? Like, yeah, so what? Maybe you won't be able to do princess voices, which I actually never do. I don't do a lot of. But he's like, and then your voice is raspy. You'll just play like 12-year-old boys for the rest of your life. I mean, like, look at Nancy Cartwright. I mean, she makes a living out of it. And after he said that to me, I thought, wow, that's very reassuring. That's true. My life is not over. My career doesn't have to be over. And it was just a really funny moment, and I ended up going through it. Um, and the the most amazing thing that I'll never forget is after I went through the surgery, about a month later is when I ended up booking webs. And it was definitely uh, a, God or the universe or whatever, just kind of reaffirming that everything's going to be okay. I had faith, that everything was going to be okay. And I honestly feel like maybe if I hadn't gotten the surgery, that maybe I wouldn't have been able to do webs. So I learned after that how much vocal care is needs to be the top priority. We are vocal athletes. We use our voices much more than the average person, and we have to take care of them. So we have to take care of our voices. We have to have the rest. We have to have the hydration, drink our water and uh, just remember and take care of them. So it really made me learn more about vocal health. I also want to add, if you're a voiceover actor or if you're in this profession, always make sure to get a scope, a vocal scope to kind of check in and see what your vocal cords are looking like. Because if you're proactive, you can catch things early, without having to go through any, hopefully any injuries and be injury free. So it made me realize how much vocal health is important and how listening to your body is important. So, yeah,
I mean, you're not the first person I've talked to who had to go through something like that because it's one of those it's one of those unfortunate things where I feel like, and this is not me throwing shade on anybody. I'm not accusing anybody of like and doing anything being reckless, but I do think that a lot of voice actors don't really take into consideration that they can physically damage themselves until it actually happens, you know?
absolutely. No, absolutely. And it was definitely a learning experience for me. I did not know uh how much I was using my voice. I never really realized. And so after this whole experience, I worked with wonderful voice therapists whom I still work to this day. After if my voice is filling off, I'll go and get checked. I didn't know about any of these resources before then. I didn't even think about any of this stuff. But now, after that experience, I've realized just it is our instrument, you know? We are actual, it's like an athlete, you know, like when they're, playing basketball or whatever, and then you get a calf injury or something, right? Like, and sometimes they have to go through surgery, unfortunately, but they go through rehab and then they get right back to it, right? But they're always constantly training and they're always constantly, being aware of their body and hopefully to be injury free. So it's the same thing with our vocal cords. So always make sure to get those scopes, check, because we can't see, what they look like, our vocal cords, but an otolaryngologist can. They, they're able to see, what your vocal cords are looking like to keep you safe.
And how did you get involved in the Final Fantasy remake?
Yes, Final Fantasy. That was one of my first video games that I was a part of. It was an audition, and it was under a code name at the time, and I had no idea what I was auditioning for. No idea. And I was fresh off of a voiceover class, which I think kind of helped me not be so rusty. So I did the audition, set it off. I ended up booking the role, and I remember walking into the studio, talking. I saw the writer, producers, the voice director, Kirk Thornton, who's a wonderful voice actor as well. And I remember turning around and looking at this monitor, and I saw a huge picture of Cloud, and I thought, wait a minute. And I gasped with surprise and I turned to them and looked at them and they looked at me and they went, shh, like that. And so I knew this was something huge. And I'm so grateful for them for giving me a chance and for believing in me uh, uh, to be Madame M. Because Madame M was a whole new character in the Final Fantasy franchise. And I'm so grateful that the Final Fantasy community welcomed me with open arms and really enjoyed my character. And I'm so blessed to be a part of the Final Fantasy franchise.
And what aspects of Madame M's character do you personally relate to?
What aspects? The aspects of Madame M's character that I can personally relate to, gosh, I feel like are none. I mean, she is, she's fiery. She is a wonderful businesswoman. She's confident. She is, uh, can I cuss?
You can say whatever you want as long as you don't break NDA.
Oh, okay. She takes no shit. Okay. That's the extent of my cussing. Okay. She takes no shit. She's a wonderful businesswoman. I mean, all the things that I wish I was. I wish I was that confident. And just she is a badass businesswoman. So I'm working on it. I'm working on my confidence every day. That's something that hopefully I could become a little bit more like Madam M in terms of like business. She likes to make her money.
And what are some of your favorite Madame M lines?
Um, let's see here. One that I could remember, okay, is one that she says, she goes, let me see, let me go up to the mic here. She says, I gotta get into the mode. She goes, uh, relax. Stress is poison to the body. Or there's one where she says, um, oh, when she's doing the hand massage, she goes, let's start with the tips. That's it. I'm only here to help. Right? So she's very just kind of like massaging the hands and the tips. Or if you do not buy the luxury massage, maybe she's more like, and I'm gonna turn the mic down for this, maybe she's more like um she's angry that you cheaped out. She'll say something like, "You asked for this. Now take it like a man." Kind of like that. Hope I didn't blow anybody's ears out. But I think those are my favorite lines, just like her massage lines. It went viral. So
I think I remember that because I remember people like reacting to that scene and they're like, okay, lady. Okay.
they're like, whoa, whoa, yeah, listen. And like I said, she's a businesswoman. So you get what you pay for. You want to cheap out, then you'll get that. And if you want a luxury massage, you'll get, nice and a very relaxing massage, no pain involved.
Must have been a hoot during that session, must have been a hoot.
Yeah, it definitely was a hoot. I mean, I remember being in the studio recording, the luxury massage. And I mean, really, my job was kind of to make people uncomfortable on purpose, which was quite fun because the other people on the other side of the glass of the booth told me they were getting a little uncomfortable. So I achieved my job. I made everybody feel uncomfortable, and so that was great. It was a very funny, behind the glass moment.
I mean, there is another funny well, I mean I shouldn't say it because it's probably like probably too dirty on this podcast, but there's another one but I love those kind of moments where they ask for something and you give them that and they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're like, "Ooh, wow, this is wow." Well, it was really interesting because they did want, a difference between the lower paying massage versus the highest paying massage, right? So with the luxury massage, it's got to be like really relaxing, right? And really soothing. And ooh, you like that? Yeah. That kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, very, very fun.
And how did you get involved in DC Superhero Girls and was Livewire the only character you auditioned for?
DC Superhero Girls. What a fun time. That was my first recurring character on an animation show. It was a wonderful show developed by Lauren Faust, who did My Little Pony, Powerpuff Girls too, and it uh, it was I felt really grateful and blessed because if you follow the show, a lot of the villains, the characters in the show, it's like voiceover royalty. Okay. I remember there was one time they asked all the villains to come in, record together. I was uh, it was like almost like a Man of Peet moment, but like for the voiceovers. Like you had the voiceover legends in there. Tara Strong was in there. She does Harley Quinn, Cree Summer. She was Catwoman. Christina Militia, she's now known as Christina Medina. Poison Ivy, she's a great friend of mine. It was like royalty in there in that recording studio. We got to record together. I was like a sponge. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take that from you. I'm gonna learn from that. Oh, I like what you did there. I'm still in that. It was just I got to learn so much from everybody and be amongst all these talented voiceover actors. I was just I just feel so blessed because it was one of my first big animation projects. Uh, and in terms of Livewire, you asked if I listened. You asked if I listened to any of the Livewire stuff, right?
No,
The the the
that's the next question. I asked like, did you was Livewire the only character you
the
auditioned
only
for?
Livewire was not the character that I auditioned for. I did audition for a few other ones, but I guess Livewire was the best fit. it was interesting. I remember recording Livewire and Lauren Faust was there. And Livewire, she's a little bit of a bully, Leslie Willis, you know? And I remember Lauren kept saying, "You gotta be meaner. You gotta be meaner. She's mean." And it was a little challenging for me to be mean. I felt really bad for all the characters I had to be mean to and be a bully to. But she had a lot of vulnerabilities. There was a reason why she was the way that she was, and she was taking it out on everybody else. But she was a very fun character to play.
And you pretty much set up my next question, which is
Yeah.
like, did you listen to any of the previous incarnations of Livewire, or did you just go in there and do your own thing?
You know, I I did not I did not listen to other live wires. I think on purpose though. I wanted to do my own thing. I feel like sometimes if we listen to uh other people doing the character, it kind of influences us. And I just really wanted to do my own take on Livewire. And I guess it stuck. I guess. So yeah, I didn't know. I didn't want to. I think after the I did the show and recorded the show, then went back and I listened to everybody and I was like, oh, that was interesting. That was an interesting choice. But no, like for the audition and the recordings, I didn't. I wanted to do my own thing.
And that's a good way to approach it, because I feel like with legacy characters that are already established, you're always gonna have that other person in your mind. It's like, shit, I hope I don't screw this up, because this other person is like known for this role and people are gonna get mad about it and blah blah blah, you know?
Of course, I feel like there's an immense amount of pressure too, because Livewire is a very iconic character. That whole DC universe, all those characters, are very iconic, and I think you put a lot of pressure on yourself to, you know, to kind of compare. When really, again, it's about being yourself, um, and bringing yourself and your past experiences and history to that character is what kind of differentiates between all the different live wires or DC characters. You know, just bringing your own yourself to it makes it unique and original. So, yeah.
And going back to the bad guys, did you guys record together for that, or was that recorded separately?
We recorded separately. Again, it was during, the end of the COVID time, so everybody wanted to be careful. So we recorded solo most of the episodes. There was one time that they were able, I think one of the last episodes, they were able to bring us all in together. Uh Except Michael, who plays Wolf, he's on the East Coast, so he was through Zoom. But all of us, we were there together recording the episode. And it was so fun because when you have a group together, the energy is magnetic and infectious and just everything is that much more funny and you're able to work off of each other in real time. Sometimes I feel it is a little bit of a challenge when you're recording solo because you have to imagine what the person you're talking to, their reaction to what you're saying. So you have to always come prepared with like an A, B, or C take where it's like, well, if they respond this way or react this way, then I'll say it like this, or So uh, yes, it was so fun to do it as a group, and yeah, it was just one time. I wish it was more than once, but we have to be safe. So.
Also, I want to point out that Zehra Fazal, who voices the reporter, voices Livewire in My Adventures with Superman. So there you go.
Yeah, I love Zehra. She's a great friend. She just had a baby. She is a wonderful superwoman. I always watch her on Instagram and she works out, so I always applaud her for lifting that heavy weight and she's a superwoman all in all. I I love her dearly and I admire her a lot. She's a great actress.
Yeah, I did reach out to her again because I had her on the show previously, and of course, like she said, like, hey, I can't, like, as of right now, because I'm a mom now, and that like takes all my priority, so I can't come back here. But she was nice enough to say, keep doing what you're doing, and there are going to be slow times. There are going to be times that you're going to feel like there are going to be slow times, but trust me, there are going to be times where, you're going to keep interviewing people, and, don't give up on your craft. And I think that I needed to hear that because, like, I talked to a lot of people, but I think she was the only one who told me, like, hey, don't give up on what you're doing. And that meant a lot to me.
Wow, that is such an impactful thing for you, I bet. And she, like, and it's a testament to what I just said, that she is a very inspiring, admirable person and a kind person. And she has really great work ethic. And it also shows that you know, she's a wonderful mother as well, not just uh, a really great actress and her work ethic, but she's just a really committed person to her child. And I love what she said to you. That is some really great advice. And I think everybody listening right now should really take that with them because it's so true that there are in any profession there's going to be highs and lows, you know? Um, And from what I've seen on your podcast, you have interviewed a lot of really cool voiceover actors, actors in general. So I'm pretty impressed with your Rolodex of people on your podcast. So congratulations to that.
Okay, which episode did you listen to?
Well, I listened to my friend Raul's because he's Piranha, and I recently just saw Raul actually like a couple days ago, and Ezekiel. We were filming some bad guys like content stuff, and I was listening to Shelby Rabara because Shelby and we were both on a show called Samurai Rabbit, The Usagi Chronicles on Netflix. We did a full couple seasons of that, where I play Chizu and she plays uh keep I can't even remember. Oh my gosh. She plays the fox. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name. Anyway, it was a while ago, but I listened to those two episodes, and yeah, you've got a lot of people on this show. So again, I guess I feel very honored. I feel very honored. So thank you again.
I mean, I try. I really try, and sometimes even I look at the guest list, and I'm just like, but what are you doing talking to me?
What's great about you, and I always get nervous for interviews, but what's great is that you treat it like a conversation. And I'm sure every guest on this podcast felt so comfortable, and I feel very comfortable. So thank you for that, for not for just making it very conversational. Like we're buddies talking, having a cup of coffee. I don't know if you drink coffee or tea, whatever it is, or drinking water. I don't know. Just having like a little casual conversation. And uh, uh, that means a lot to me because I just I feel very comfortable in this space. So thank you.
And outside of acting, do you have any personal hobbies?
Outside of acting, yeah, I also let's see, I also enjoy fitness. Probably, I'm not as strong as Zehra for sure, but fitness. I have two cats that I love dearly. I have two kitties. I am, a singer, songwriter, so I write music and sing. I I am also a huge gardener, by the way. I'm not the best. Okay, listen, I'm not like I try. I'm a beginner. I started during COVID, and for me, like it was just something that would like pass the time. And I found that with gardening, it was a great way to kind of relax after a long day. And it was really interesting because I knew nothing about sowing seeds or soil, this, that. And I remember my neighbor at the time said to me, he was like, he's a green thumb. And he said to me, Mel, look, one word of advice that I could give you about gardening is keep it simple. You know, sow your seeds. If they grow, they grow. If they don't, it's not the season. Whatever, you move on. Don't worry about, gotta put this in my soil, amend this and put that and fertilize. He's like, no, listen, if it wants to grow, it'll grow. And I kind of kept that advice. And so I sow seeds, and when it's the right time, they'll come up. And if it's not, maybe they'll come up when it's hotter, right? So right now, I recently just harvested the last few peppers from my pepper plant. I have a sweet pepper from Costa Rica, which I'm surprised is still kind of hanging on during this cold season. Uh, and maybe a few peppers, and let's see what else. Some lettuce. It's winter time now, going to be winter time. So now I sowed a lot of like Swiss chard, lettuce, what else? Arugula, all that kind of stuff. So then hopefully within the next month, I'll be able to eat my own organic salad. Looking very forward to that. So those are my hobbies. Oh, also, I might add, I do like to play video games. I'm not a gamer, but I do like to play video games to de-stress and decompress. I have a PS5. I also have an Xbox One, the older Xbox. I have a Switch. But yeah, I play the PS5 as often as I possibly can. However, I'm terrible at finishing games. I'm one of those people where it's like I start a great game and I really get into it, and then life happens and gets busy, and then I put down the controller and I come back to it a month or two later and I don't even remember how to play anymore, and then I have to start all over again. So hopefully one of these days, by the end of the year, I'll finish a game. But those are my hobbies.
And how do you balance your work and personal life?
That's a good question. And if any of the audience members have answers to that, please let me know because I'm trying every single day. That's something that I'm learning, balancing my personal and my professional life. I think one thing I learned this year was for me, things got a lot busy, which I'm really grateful for. But I had to learn to let go of things that don't serve me anymore. And that kind of took a lot more energy for me. It was I'm always sad to let things go, but sometimes you have to make space for what's to come, the new things to come and all the great things to come. And so I've realized that it's not always a good thing to just like take on everything and say yes to everything and have so much on your plate because sometimes you could spread yourself thin. And so sometimes it's okay to say no to some things and really focus and put your creative energy on the things that really matter to you and what lights you up inside and what's fun for you and inspires you. So that's, I guess, kind of how I'm learning to balance my life by just say no to some things so that I can make room for, spending time with my boyfriend, spending time with my family, my two cats, and playing a video game and hopefully finishing it one day. Yeah.
Now I feel like that's an important skill to have because saying no when you feel uncomfortable or you just need a break from stuff is hard. It really is. I know it's easy to like look and say, "Oh, well, if you didn't want to do this, why didn't you say no?" But it's like because I didn't want to be mean. I don't know. Like there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and I think too, like in this industry, when opportunities come or when things come, or just in general, not just this industry, but in other things, in that moment, yeah, you don't want to you don't want to let the other person down or feel like you've let them down. So then you say yes. And then the hard thing about it is then now you have this thing on your plate and you're like, oh, oh man, why did I say yes? I didn't even really want to do it. Or, at the time. And So then sometimes, it's a true testament to like you got to really listen to yourself and listen to your intuition. If it's the right thing, great. If it works for you and your situation, then say yes. If not, it's okay to say no, but to say it respectfully and in a kind way. Um, yeah, I think always saying, if you're going to decline or say no to something, saying it in a very, again, leading with gratitude, but saying no in a very kind, respectful way is it really helps and it goes a long way to tell the truth and be honest.
I mean, speaking of someone who gets a lot of rejections when it comes to guest guest inquiries, I can attest that it's hard, getting that rejection and feeling like, am I doing something wrong, or whatever, but it's fine, like everyone, like maybe like two or three people were genuine assholes to me, but outside
Oh,
of that, everyone else was kind of nice, where it was nice
oh,
when they're declining.
oh, and I just want to say I'm so sorry for that, having an interaction like that. And it I have to tell you that a lot of us actors, it's not the norm, you know? And the reason why I say that is because as actors, we get rejected so much. Sometimes what's worse than rejected is not hearing anything at all. We're so used to that we know how it feels when someone says no to us. And so I would never want anybody to feel that way. And I kind of feel like too, sometimes when you get rejected or you get a lot of no's, it kind of does make you resilient though. And, I'm trying, if you reframe it that way. But the people that were assholes, I'm sorry about that because that is not the norm. We really enjoy what we do as actors and we love sharing if our talent or if our work can inspire and help someone in any way, we really we will, we'll be there and we love to it's really for the fans. It's not really about us. It's about impacting the fans, the audience, and the world with what we can do. So always lead with a be kind and respectful, man. That's why we try to be kind and respectful, you know.
And what was the weirdest direction you've ever been given?
The weirdest the weirdest direction I've ever been given, I the weirdest direction I've ever been given, the only thing that I can think of is I guess the direction when I was playing Madam M. I don't really have any other answer because my direction was to make people feel uncomfortable in ways that I can think of. Uh, I'll let the audience look up. If you haven't played the game, go ahead and play the game so you could feel uncomfortable yourself. I think that was kind of, I guess, the weirdest direction that I was given is just to make people feel uncomfortable, if you know what I mean. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Because I would imagine like being told by Lauren Faust of all people, you need to be meaner. You gotta like really be meaner. Like get into him. Like just tell this guy he's a effing idiot and you hate him and you wish he would die.
And you know what? Listen, that it was quite hard. It was quite hard to be mean. Like I thought that I was being mean already, but she was like, "No, you need to be meaner." And it's not really in me as a person. I like to think of myself as a kind person and just I'm a very nice person. And I mean, that was me trying to be as mean as I possibly can. But apparently I had to be meaner, and so she had me get meaner and angrier and bitter. So it was a hard that was challenge. That was a challenge to be mean, but fun also.
And if you could voice any existing character from any franchise, who would it be and why?
If I could voice any actor in a franchise. Who would it be? Hmm. Hmm. You know, listen, if I could voice any character in a franchise, I'd love to be I'd like to be in a Disney movie, you know? Like if I was like Mulan, you know, if like they did like another Mulan, I'm here, you know? Because I love her story. I'm also Japanese, you know, culturally it really resonates with me, but also I love her journey of how she stands up for what's right and she's a powerful, you know, female lead, you know, character and she goes on this journey. And she also sings. So for me, it would probably be that. I mean, I also wouldn't mind, you know, being on a, you know, on a Fox show like The Simpsons or Family Guy. I'm here if you need me. Uh, too. My boyfriend would really love it if I was on The Simpsons. So, because he's watched literally every episode from the first episode till to the present one. So, he would absolutely just be a fanboy. He already is a fanboy because he's a supportive boyfriend, but if I was on The Simpsons, oh man, that would just put me right up there. So maybe one of any of those.
I mean, that's the go-to answer because like it's been on forever and it's like just let me do like a thing on that.
Let me just breathe, or how about let me just sigh? I'll be the sire, the professional sire. I'll give you three different sighs if you want. Yeah, like to be on like The Simpsons or the Family or Family Guy. Oh my gosh, so many seasons. Like, oh, I would love it. I would love it.
You also mentioned that you know you play video games, and I'm kind of wondering like what type of games do you play?
That's a great question. Okay. You know, because I'm playing numerous ones right now because I haven't finished them yet. So right now I am currently playing The Outer Worlds 2. In fact, I actually voice a character in that game. Um, the Vicar Magsese, and you could find me on the radio. Uh, so I've been playing The Outer Worlds 2. I'm really into uh, first person shooters. I love games like um, let's see, Far Cry. Far Cry was amazing. Which one was it with the cult? What was it? The fourth one? Far Cry 4 or 5? Do you know?
I think that was the fifth one.
Was it the fifth? Okay, that one was an amazing game. Great game. I love games like that. I love open worlds. I was just in the video game Ghosts of Yote, actually. I play Hana the farmer, and I help Atsu with her kunai. I'm the kunai artisan. And so I've dabbled in a little bit of Ghosts of Tsushima. So I really love open worlds, Red Dead Redemption. Oh, I love the open world stuff because I have ADD. So for me, I like to explore. And then I'm like, ooh, what's that? And then I go over there and then do that sub quest. So I really just love when unexpected things happen, and it's very fun for me. I also really love uh, games like let's see, what's another game that I've been recently playing? Oh, okay. I just recently downloaded Crash Bandicoot. The original one. I used to play that when I was a kid, when I had the first PlayStation, and it was so just like nostalgic for me, just like sitting there because it's remastered now and the graphics are a lot better now, and but just playing it and I got my boyfriend into it. He's never played Crash Bandicoot before, but it just really brought me back. So I love all kinds of games, but I really love open worlds because I just love exploring. I'm an explorer, you know, I'm an explorer and I'm a scavenger. Or what's the word? Scavenger and forager, I guess. I don't know. I just love to be able to like, oh, I'm gonna open this door and grab that the scrap metal and grab this and grab that and there's some milk in the fridge and you know that I'm like that kind of. I love those kind of games.
So, you know, when you're playing a game that you're in, I take it you don't mind listening to yourself, right?
Are you crazy? It's weird. It's a weird sensation to hear myself. Uh, I think, and the reason why is because like when I'm playing, it's kind of like, oh, I sound like that? That's how I sound? Really? Oh, I never thought. I thought my voice was lower than that. So it's like the perception of what I sound like is changed. Um, it, it, it's it's quite interesting. It's for me, it's a weird experience. Maybe some voice actors like it, um, but I also use it as a chance to learn. So if I'm listening to myself in a game, I think to myself, "Ooh, oh, interesting. I could have made this choice, or I could have done that, or oh, I see why they chose that take." So I kind of, I guess, use it as a learning experience. I'm a avid learner. I always feel like in any situation there are things you could learn. Every experience you could learn from, and I always just try to find ways that I could improve improve my work. I'm always constantly taking classes, so I still take classes to this day. So
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that because whenever I ask people like, do you watch or play any of the stuff you're in, they usually say no because they can't stand listening to themselves because they're too hypercritical.
it's true. It's so true. I'm very critical of myself. See, I'm reframing it as a learning experience, but yeah, I'm very critical as well. You know, I just for me, I really just love the Outer Worlds too. But then when I hear myself, I try to like drown myself out or not play the radio so that I could just enjoy the rest of the game so I don't have to think about like what I sound like. Because yeah, I'm also very critical of my work. So yeah, have I played most of the games that I voiced in? No. Um, do I go back and listen to some of the stuff? Not usually. So I'm in the same boat as the other actors, your other guests.
Because it's so rare whenever I meet an voice actor who's like, "Oh, I don't mind listening to myself." It's like, but how? Because as someone who edits a lot of podcast audio and video, I have to re-listen to this conversation over and over again, and it took me forever, forever to get used to the sound of my own voice. I'm like, "Oh, is that how I sound like?" Oh no.
Yeah, it like you have this expectation too. You're like, oh, I really thought I sounded more like this, or God, God, I thought I sounded more bassy. I guess not. I guess my voice is higher. Sometimes I'm not as critical when it's more of a cartoony animation voice. So, for instance, like Webs, right? Because it doesn't sound like me. It's a kind of a totally different character. I am still critical of myself, but. I kind of give myself a pass because it's like, oh, you're not really sounding like yourself. You're sounding like someone else. So maybe next time when you do your next interview, you could do it in a cartoon voice.
I am one of these days I'm gonna get someone who does not care and just say, you know what'd be funny if you could just do like the entire interview in like this cartoon voice and it'll be terrible and no one will listen to it and it's just
But you know what's funny? What's funny is that maybe that might be the highly listened to episode because it's something different. And it's throwing everybody for a loop, you know? And I'm sure you could pull it off, come on with a totally different voice or maybe a different accent. I don't know. Maybe you could do like an English accent. I don't know, something like that. Um, but it might be fun. You know, who knows? Change it's your show. You could change it up and do whatever feels right to you. So then you won't have to be highly critical of yourself. You could be like, that's somebody else. Yeah, that's a different person. That's a different character. It's not me.
no, I just feel I feel jealous of people who have like radio voices who, like the again, I'm not flexing. I swear I'm not flexing whenever I mention this. Please don't think I'm flexing, but I'm good friends with Corey Burton, who has this like magnificent voice, who has this magnificent radio announcer voice. And I'm just like, I wish my voice was as good as yours.
Yeah. Everybody, I have that same. uh that same mindset sometimes when I listen to my fellow voiceover uh peers, you know? I think to myself, "Oh, I wish I could be more like this voice," or Zehra has a powerful voice. I want to be more like her, you know? Or, "Oh, I wish I could do boys and kid characters like Christina. I wish." And then it always comes down to, I guess, I have to learn to love my voice and the way that it is and and it was given to me for a purpose. And it's okay to it's okay because I can't do a good radio voice either. Um, and I'm okay with that. I got my wheelhouse of things that I could do, and maybe I'll branch out and try to learn new things and come up with something new to add to my wheelhouse. But other than that, I know what I'm good at, and I'm okay with that, you know?
I was also about to ask, like, that's a good segue to my next question, which was like, seeing as you've been doing this for a while now, do you feel like you've gotten a good handle on what your strengths and weaknesses are, or are you still trying to figure that out?
Great question. I I think that I'm always still trying to figure it out. Like I said, I'm all about improving myself and improving the what I have in my wheelhouse, right? But yes, I do know what I'm great at, and I also do know what I can't do for sure. But like if there's something that's a weakness, it could be something that I can improve on and work on. And I look at it that way. So that maybe hopefully at some point, maybe through class, maybe through private coaching, maybe through um, group work and talking to my fellow peers, that can turn into a strength. But I think coming into this, uh, because we play so many different characters, we get different auditions, we can figure out as voice actors kind of what what books, what other people like to hear. And those we could put in our strengths box, and then the weaknesses, you know, could be stuff we can improve on. Like there are some accents that I'd like to work on, right? But knowing our wheelhouse is kind of it's a good thing as an actor, knowing what we can do and absolutely knowing what we cannot do. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. Always.
But that's what I love about that's what I love about actors in general is like everyone you talk to, they're still learning. Like even like the biggest like names in the business, they're still like learning stuff. And I think that's very humbling because it's like, yeah, and I think that, they're still doing it because they love the craft. And I feel like, whenever I listen to an actor who's been in the business for years, who knows their shit, say, hey, I'm still finding room to improve that's very hopeful because it's like, hey, if this person who's been doing it for X amount of years is still learning, then there is no excuse for me to stop learning, you know?
And you hit it on the nail there. There really is no excuse to stop learning because in I feel like in any field, there's always room for improvement. There's never a place where it's like, okay, this is the best that I can do and the best that I am, and yeah, I'm good. Like this, I'm good. No, like there are always things that you could learn from like when I am in a class, I'm learning from the teacher. I'm learning from my peers, the other people in my class. I'm listening to, you know, their process, how they prep, and how I can take a little bit of that into and use that. Or I'm finding inspiration and learning from watching videos or from uh, listening to my peers when I'm playing video games, right? I'm listening and to my peers and how they're voicing this character or how they're voicing for this project. And I'm learning. And it's always about learning. I feel like with creativity too, the bounds are endless. They're limitless. There's so many things to learn. And in with voice acting and just acting in general. Um, but that should be applied to like life. There's always things to learn in life, in whatever you do, you know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, any creative field or life in general, like you're always learning stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
easy to look at success and or a successful person and say, "Oh, they've got it figured out," but they don't. No one you
They,
ever talk to has it figured out. I wish there was that mythical person that has it figured out, but no, not really.
I do think a lot of people, when yeah, you're right. When they see success, they're like, wow, they've got it all figured out. But what they don't see are the endless classes that they had to take, the endless acting classes, the endless voiceover classes, the rejections, obviously, uh, all the auditions that they sent in. Some of them were, maybe weren't as great. So, there's just so much, and they were able to learn from that audition and think of, okay, how can I apply that to my next audition, right? So a lot of people don't see the work behind the scenes, which translates, I guess, into quote unquote success. But we're still in the background figuring things out and learning more so that we can um, just add to our repertoire, add to that wheelhouse. Um, because for me, I think as a person, I don't like to just be stagnant. I don't like to be the same. I do like to be comfortable, but I also know that I should be, taking more risks and thinking outside the box. Um, but I don't like to stay stagnant. I want to always constantly improve, level up. Um, and that's just something that I've applied to my life. I just don't like to stay where I'm at. I mean, I'm great. I also want to add to that and say that I'm not saying to not be grateful for where you at and to also realize that where you're at is is an accumulation of like everything that you've done. So like for where I'm at now is because of the wonderful things that have happened before. And I'm grateful for that. But I also want to remember that there's so much more to learn and improve on and I can't stay the same in life. There's so many we live one life and there's so many things that we could do with this beautiful life. And why just stay the same when you could try new things and learn new things and it makes a funner life, in my opinion, a more fun life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, getting out of that comfort zone, that's another thing that I had to learn to overcome as well, where it's like, do I want to do this? Yes. Can I do this? That's the other thing where it's like, can I do this? Do I want to do this? All these questions. But a lot of the time, I realize like looking back at my life and some of the decisions I've made, I say to myself, man, I wish I didn't get in my way a lot. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses is I just get in my way a lot where it's like I think, oh, should I reach out to this person? Should I talk to this person? Should I talk with that person? I'm just like, just stop overthinking. Just do it. Just do the thing.
And I'm so glad that you adopted that mindset because why not shoot your shot? You never know what's going to happen. The worst that could happen is someone could say, no, actually, not the worst that could happen. Something that could happen is they could say no. And the worst is that they could be an asshole, right? Unfortunately, it does happen. Um, but what I love is that you are taking, you're getting out of your comfort zone and taking the risk and just reaching out. That's a hard thing to do. And a lot of people don't have as much bravery and courage to do things like that. And so I applaud you and I admire you for being able to reach out to people because what's wonderful is a lot of people are going to say yes because they love to inspire the world and they they love what they do and it takes a lot of courage and I'm sure that we all see that, you know? I'm sure all your guests see that.
I mean, and that's what I love about doing the show is like I love talking to people about not only the craft but like life in general and just like shooting the shit about whatever because I love creativity. I love what do you call it? I love just being stimulated, creatively stimulated and just like creating connections because I feel like nowadays we're all divided and we just don't have that sense of community anymore and I just want that want to build like some form of community, even if it's small, even if it's minuscule, even if like one or two people listen to this, I don't care. I mean, I did the thing. I mean, you can look at all the guests I've had on the podcast. I've done it. Like what's next? That's what I'm asking. That's the mentality I'm taking to going forward, that's going to be my mentality where it's like, what's next? I've done it. I've done this. I've done that. I've talked to this person. I've talked to that person. What's next? How can we improve on this? Can we, you know, get some people that, you might not expect to see on this show? Who knows?
Yeah. And that's I again, you have such a great mindset with this whole thing. It's hard enough for people to just do it and start, but you overcame that and you just did it even though it wasn't perfect, even though you had an expectation of like, oh, it has to be like this or it has to be like that. Sometimes we can get in our own way, and but you put it out there, and that takes a lot of bravery, and there's a lot of people that are too scared to even start or try, but you don't even know what will happen because it may turn out to be a really wonderful, beautiful thing. And that's great. That's something probably that you could take in next year and start planning that what's next for you. And I'm really excited to hear more about what's next.
Because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this year was hectic for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not gonna get into it. It's 2025. Y'all know what happened this year. I'm not gonna get into it, but it was hectic, and there were a lot of times where I struggled mentally, to keep going because it's like you look at the state of the world and all this horrible stuff that's happening, and you just think to yourself like, it's hard to stay creatively motivated when everything's on fire, basically is what I'm trying to say. But
Hmm.
I try to push through it and you know, I try to go into this and just try my best. And sometimes I suck. Sometimes the interview sucks. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. But at least I tried. At least I did something. At least I got up and I did something and I said, "Hey, I did this thing." And last year wasn't that great as well because I was struggling to get guests and I did think a lot about like whether I should keep doing this, whether I should quit. But then, it's weird. It's funny because like, I did have those slow periods where I was just not booking anything. And now I got like a bunch of people lined up for next year. And it's like, you never know, you
Oh,
know?
I am so, so, so happy to hear that. Oh, that's amazing. And it makes me kind of emotional because it it goes to show like why you shouldn't quit. Why why just to have that perspective of like you never know what will happen. So just try. And I love that you stuck with it. And 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 again, leads me to what we talked about is how you show up matters. And you showed up. You show even if the interview if you thought the interview wasn't good, which maybe it may not have been, but you showed up. Whether or not you wanted to, whether you didn't feel good, whatever, you showed up because this is something that you care about. and you showed up with energy. You maybe not the most energy, right? At times, but you showed up with enthusiasm and your best self at the time. And that's really important. So that's why for me, with anything that I do, I want to show up with my best self. I want to show up again with enthusiasm, energy, and gratitude. There's always things to be, um, just, I hate to say it, but, like grateful for. Um, yeah. So I'm just so excited for you. And I can't wait to see all those guests you have for next year.
I mean, there some of them even I'm looking at them and I'm like, how did I even get this person on here? But it happened.
You know how? I'll tell you. You know how? Because you didn't quit. You did it anyway. You reached out and and you got over the whole mindset of like, oh, they're probably not going to reply back to me, or oh, I'm scared. They're this person. They're huge. What you said, whatever. Shut up, little brain. I'm going to reach out anyway. And lo and behold, you have these wonderful guests lined up for next year. So thank you for not quitting. Thank you for reaching out to have me on this show. I appreciate it. And I love having these conversations, these very um uh, deep conversations. They're very inspiring and they're like giving me energy. Because I'm sure with each interview that you do, you feel like energized. Like, wow, I just talked to this person and I feel energized and I learned about this person. That's a great kind of like a positive energy to be in, great space to be in for your creativity. So that's wonderful, man. Wonderful.
Yeah, I know. And before we wrap this up, can you give us an update on what you're currently working on and where can people find you online?
Let's see here. What I'm currently working on, I know we don't do any, we don't, we have NDAs. So I am working on some stuff and I can't wait to share them. But you can follow me on Instagram at Mallory Low, MALLORYLOW. And please, if you could, give me a follow. And also, if you are listening to this episode, please DM me. Tell me about your favorite part of the interview, and we could discuss it and talk about it. And yeah, follow me there. And I can't wait to meet everyone.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. I know we had to reschedule. So, if
I
you're
know.
if
Listen, to be quite vulnerable, and transparent, I appreciate the reschedule because my aunt passed away. So the day of where we were supposed to do the interview was they made it her funeral. So I appreciate you rescheduling and because I had to be there for my family. So this last month was, a little hard in that aspect, um but so thank you for I'm glad we get to work this out and find a great time.
and seeing as it's also I seeing as it's like this is going to be the holiday special, favorite Christmas movie. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Favorite Christmas movie? There are a lot of great Christmas movies. Jingle All the Way. I have a good friend, Jake Lloyd. He's a good friend of mine. I love Jingle All the Way. Elf is a very good movie. Oh, I can't choose, guys. I can't choose. It's very hard. Listen, I gee, I don't know. I love a lot of Christmas movies. You can't make me choose. You can't make me choose.
With me, it's easy. It's Gremlins. It's always going to be Gremlins because Frank Welker, Howie Mandel. There you go. You don't need anything else.
I'm hoping that for this holiday season, this that I'll be able to, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to relax spend some time with my family, watch more Christmas movies, eat some really good food, open some wonderful presents, that I've given to my family and also that I've bought for myself. Because you got to get yourself your own Christmas present, because why not? But just to take the time to reflect on how, on all the wonderful things that have happened and also some of the lows that have happened, but to appreciate that, I get to spend the time with my family and my loved ones, and this is going to be a great holiday season, and I'm glad that I get to end this year being on this podcast.
Thank you so much for taking the time off to do this again. Thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation. And, we got to hit you up on Instagram one of these times and we can just like, if you ever want to talk about whatever, I'm always here. So, if you ever want to come back for a follow-up, I'm always here. So thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.